In this clip, we're going to look at some more aspects of the MongoDB aggregation pipeline. And in particular, we're going to focus on carrying out aggregation operations where we need to work with array fields. So in the movieDetails collection, one of the array fields is the genres field. So you have genres, you have actors, and you have one or two more that are array fields. And in the question we're trying to ask here, we need to deal with one of those array fields. So we want to consider movies that have a runtime of 150 minutes or more, made during the period of 2010 to 2015, and then for each movie genre, calculate the average IMDb rating. So we're taking each movie genre and we want to calculate the average IMDb rating. So that means we need to be able to get access to the genres field. But the problem with the genres field is that some movies may have one genre, and if all movies just had one genre, we wouldn't need an array and things would be very straightforward. But some movies have many genres. You might have a movie that's a comedy, that's a romance, etc. And it fits into two or more categories. So to work with that in a MongoDB pipeline, we need to unwind any array, or the array of interest in this case. So you see an unwind stage here in the pipelines. The unwind stage is always applied to a genre. In other words, to break up the multiple genres into individual values, basically. So that's the focus of the clip. So the first stage, as I said, is a match stage. So the match stage only allows certain documents through, those that were made between 2010 and 2015. So we have a greater than or equal to star or dollar sign greater than or equal to 2010 and dollar sign less than or equal to 2015. So that means with the documents narrowed to the period 2010 to 2015 inclusive. And then we're only interested in movies that have a runtime of 150 minutes or more. So that's the second part of the match stage. And then before we can get to the grouping stage, we have to, because we're interested in grouping by genre, we have to unwind the genres array. And only when we've unwound it will the group stage actually work properly. So then we group it, and for each genre we're getting the average IMDb rating. And then we're sorting by the average IMDb rating. So let's just try and take it in stages for the minute. Or we look at the whole thing first, actually. We look at the entire aggregation pipeline first, so you get a sense of what's happening. So what we have here is, as I said, all the genres don't necessarily appear here because we've eliminated in the match stage, we've eliminated quite a lot of the movies from getting passed to the group stage. So what we have here is, say, adult, its average IMDb rating is 9. Adventure is 8. Fantasy is 7.9. And then down the bottom, action is null. So what we're doing, as I said, is we're sorting by the average IMDb rating in reverse order. So that's why the 9 is at the top and the 6.2 is the last value that's there before the nulls appear. So that's the how you deal with an aggregation pipeline involving an array. So let's look at it and take it to another level. So again, it's the same general scenario, but this time we're going to sort by different fields. Okay, so we're taking movies again with 150 minutes or more, made between 2010 and 2015. We want to take each year and now go by genre. So in the previous clip, we were just grouping by genre. But now we want to group by year and within year by genre and still calculate the average IMDb rating. And then we want to sort the documents that result by year in ascending order and by the average IMDb rating in reverse order. So we're taking the raw material from the previous query and modifying it a little bit. So what's happening now is that the match stage stays the same. The unwind is still the genres array, but the group stage is changing. So we're grouping, and we have, as always, we have an underscore ID, and followed by, we need to group by year made. So we have a field here called YR underscore MDE for the year. And then we have the movie genre to deal with the genres. and then we calculate using the average, the $ average accumulator, we calculate the average rating. And the bit that's of maybe of most interest here is, in this example, we're sorting by the year made and by the average rating. So primarily by the year made and then by the average rating. And the important thing to note here is, because year made is one of our grouping fields, we have to label it as _ID dot year made. So if we want to bring in the genre or the year made here, you'd be referencing them as _ID. But the average rating value doesn't need to have the ID in front of it. So be careful in dealing with sorting, that in some cases you'll need the _ID in front of the field, and in other cases you won't. So we're sorting by the year made in ascending order and the genre and the average rating, in descending order. So let's just run that one. We won't clear the previous one. Okay, so what you see now is, whereas in number 15, we only were grouping by the movie genre. Now we're grouping by the year made, and within that by the movie genre. So if you can see, if you look at the results, say we can see 2010, there's only one document generated. But for 2011, there's at least 4 or 5. So for 2011, the movie genre, the first movie genre is comedy, and it has an average rating of 8.1, as has adventure. And then the last of the 2011s is for action, and it's null. And then we have a few for 2012. And then we have a few for 2013. So in this case, what we're doing, because we're grouping by year and within year by genre, we're seeing the same year appear perhaps more than once. But we mightn't always be interested in we might just be interested in the first document here relating to a particular year. So if we're taking 2010, there is only one document. So that's the music, and it got 6.2. But for 2011, say we're only interested in the highest value, 8.1. So the first document there is for comedy. And we mightn't be interested in the remaining documents for 2011. And then for 2012, because we're sorting by the average rating in reverse order, for 2012, the first genre appearing is adventure, and the average rating here is 7.9. And again, we mightn't be interested in the remaining documents that's produced at this stage. So likewise, 2013, we might be interested in just the romance one at 6.5, the first one. So what you can do in MongoDB is, in this example, as I said, we're grouping by year made and by genre, and there's no further filtering of the results. But what we can do is we can add another stage to the aggregation pipeline. And this stage is appearing in question 17. So the question says here, it's much the same as the previous one. We're grouping by year and within year by genre, and we want to calculate the average IMDb score. We want to sort the documents that results by year in ascending order. But the new part we're interested in, it says, is for each year, confine the results to the genre with the highest average IMDb rating. So we're only interested in the highest one. So as I pointed out here in the output, in the documents that are output, for 2010 it'll be the first one, because there is only one for music. For 2011, it'll be the first of the 5 or 6, the average, where comedy has an average rating of 8.1, and for 2012 it'll be fantasy with an average rating of 7.9. So that's what the final part of the question is dealing with here. We're only showing the year and the genre for the document with the largest, in other words, the first of the IMDb rating values for that year. And the way you can achieve that is by adding in a further group stage to the previous query, to the previous aggregation pipeline. So what we're doing now is we're adding in a $ first. Okay, and the $ first has been applied to the movie genre, and it's been applied to the average rating. So it's taking that combination, and it's going to take the first document for each year, and it's going to extract or display just that one. So that's the role of first. So this aggregation pipeline has a match stage to eliminate documents getting considered, then the unwind stage to unwind the genres array, then the grouping stage where we're grouping by, in this case, the year and the genre, hence the need to unwind the array. Then we sort them. Okay, so before we can get to the final group stage, we sort them in the order that we needed them in. Okay, so we sorted them in reverse order by year. Okay, and then we sorted them, then we grouped them again. So we might just change that to a minus to a +1 in a moment, but we'll run it first. So the final grouping, as I said, is dealing with the year med, and then it includes this $ first. And when you execute the query or the pipeline, what you see is fewer rows than you saw the previous time. So in this case, we're looking at the average. We're looking at, for 2010, we only have one document for music. For 2011, we only have one document for comedy, and so on. And the sort here is, the final sort here is by the ID, which takes the year med as the primary sort. So that's a +1. So therefore, the previous sort doesn't really appear in the final results. So that's the way you can take an aggregation pipeline, and using this $ first, you can influence the grouping. You can essentially take the groups that are produced in an earlier stage and refine them further so that only the first document will appear. So that's the end of the clip.